The following video will show you just how easy it is to use Melvil. You and Melvil are going to be working partners for some time, so relax. Get to know your new friend at your own pace. I think you'll find Melvil easy to know, friendly, and most of all, a very productive addition to your library staff. So now we're ready to move to the computer and actually get started using Melvil. When you first turn your computer on, most likely what you'll see is the computer asking you for the date and the time. And that's exactly what our computer is asking for. Today is June 22nd, 1988, so we type 6 dash or slash 22 dash or slash 88 and press enter. It's not very picky here about how you enter the date as long as you use numbers and put the month, the day, and the year. In other places you'll find it's very picky. And now it's asking for the time. You enter the time in 24-hour military format, so 1 o'clock p.m. is 1300. Press enter. Now you have what we call a C prompt, and we're going to need to change this to the directory where your Melvil programs and data are located. Generally, this is in the Melvil directory. So we type cd space, CD stands for change directory, space, Melvil, M-E-L-V-I-L, and press enter. And we're ready to start the Melvil program at this time. So we'll type Melvil and press enter. So you see this nice little cover screen here showing you the version of the software that you have. This screen will stay on your display for about 10 seconds or until you press any key. So if you get tired of looking at it, just hit the space bar or something on your keyboard. Now we're into Melvil's main menu. As you see, there's a blue area on the screen here. We call that the desktop. And there are a selection of words across the top. We call that the main menu. The arrow keys are used to move this magenta highlight to select different items on this menu. Use the left and right arrows on your keyboard to move them. Right now it's on inventory. If we pressed enter at this point, it would go into the inventory menu, which has another list of selections. You also use the arrow keys here to move the white highlight up and down among these selections. Let's go down to another one here. For instance, number 5, subjects and authors, brings up yet another menu of choices that have to do with the subjects and the authors. And you keep going that way until you get to the actual part of Melvil that you want to use. To move back one step, you use the escape key. That's a key that's generally located in the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard and is labeled ESC. You can think of escape as a way to escape out of something. And it has a lot more uses other than backing up. If you find yourself anywhere where you're not sure you're supposed to be or you don't know what to do at that point, pressing escape usually allows you to escape that situation. Let's press the escape key. You see it moves us back to just the purple inventory menu. And if we press escape once more, it will take us just to the top or main menu. First thing we want to do is to select maintenance to tell the computer a little bit about the way our collection is organized. So you move the arrow, or you move the highlight using the arrow, over to maintenance and press enter. You'll see a maintenance menu with 7 choices. We want to go to choice number 2, system setup, so we'll use the arrow key to move down there and press enter. Now we have 5 more choices. We want to tell the computer about our categories of our library collection, so we'll move down to the second one from the bottom, define categories, and press enter. Then another screen appears showing the types and the category codes that we discussed earlier. You have 9 different types, and each type can have a number of 2-character category codes. For instance, our regular type might contain the category codes HB for hardback, PB for paperback. Our AV type might contain the category codes FS for film strip, 16 for 16 millimeter film, VT for videotape, Again, these category codes are any of those that you want to define for your own collection. These are just some suggestions. Let's put some in for our library. We'll tell the computer that we want to make changes. At the bottom of the screen here it says, do you want to make any changes? You can see it has the word yes and the word no. The word no is highlighted and flashing. You select these just as you select from a menu. Go ahead and use the arrow keys to move back and forth. And you can see that it moves to the word yes and back to the word no. Once you have it on the word that you want to select, again, just as with the menu, you press the Enter key. We've selected yes, that we do want to make changes, and we're going to press Enter. Now, these purple areas we call fields. A field is any part on the computer where you can type in information. Here we have the field for the first type, regular. You can change that type to be anything you want, although we suggest that you do use the first type on this list for regular, as all books that do not have category codes will fall into this type. However, you might want to change records to something else, or you might want to change the equipment, if you're not circulating equipment, to another category type. Let's press Enter, and you see that the little flashing underline, or what we call the cursor, has moved to the next field. This is where we put in the actual category codes themselves. We're going to put hardback and paperback here. So we're going to type HB, and we're going to type PB. You see the computer has automatically put a space between them. You do not need to put the space in yourself. Now we can press Enter again, and you can see that the cursor, the white underline, has moved to records. If we press Enter again, it goes to category codes, and so on. You can also use the up arrow key to move to the previous field. The down arrow key, just the same as Enter, moves to the next field. And we'll talk a little bit more about the way those editing keys are used in a little bit. Let's press Enter until we get all the way to the bottom. Once you're on this last field, Enter one more time, the next time you press Enter, and there is no next field, this screen will be saved and the information will be stored into the computer. So go ahead and press Enter. You see the screen, the purple has left, and what we had typed in is now in blue. And the computer is asking us again if we want to make any changes. So if we want to make any additional changes to this, we would say yes. Let's say no. And now we want to go over to inventory and get started putting some books in. This part that we just did is the only part that you have to do before you start putting books in. And actually, the only reason that you have to do it before you enter books is just so that you have an idea of the way that you want to categorize your items. Let's press Escape to make the green menu go away. Escape again. And we'll move the highlight over to Inventory and press Enter. And we'll select the first one, which is already highlighted, Enter Edit Inventory Items. This is a screen where you will be entering all of your books, making changes to any books or other items that you circulate, and editing any of them. As you can see, across the top of the screen is a new list of selections. Add, Find, and Exit are highlighted, or brighter rather, because those are the ones that we can select. The other selections are dim because they are not available to us at this time. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's tell the computer that we want to add a book. So we need to move the highlight to Add and press Enter. Again, we have fields. All of the purple areas on the screen are areas where we can type. We're going to add this book, Freedom. Generally, you would be adding by your shelf list. You can also choose to add directly from your books if your shelf list is not in the kind of order it should be. The name of the book is Freedom. You can type your titles in either uppercase or upper and lowercase. The computer does not care how they're typed in as far as when it's searching for a book, but that will be important for consistency if you want them to appear, say, on your catalog cards in all uppercase or in upper and lowercase. Let's type it in upper and lowercase. Okay. To move to the next field, we press Enter. And the next field is Author. It is important to be consistent on the way that you enter authors as far as the spelling of their names and the punctuation. the name should be entered last name first, followed by a comma, a space, and then the first and middle names. The author is William Sapphire, so we would enter Sapphire, comma, William, and press enter to go to the next field. The next field is for the name of the illustrator. The illustrator would be entered exactly as you would want it to appear on a catalog card, and this is generally first name and then last name. This particular book does not have an illustrator, so we'll go on to the next field. The publisher is Doubleday, so we will enter the name of the publisher in the publisher field and press enter. Anytime you make a mistake, you can use the backspace key just as you would a correction key on a typewriter. It moves the cursor back one and erases that character. The next field, marked C, is the copyright date of the book. This particular book is a copyright 1987. Press enter. The next field is the ISBN number of the book. You can choose to use the ISBN number if you like. It is not necessary to enter it in, but we will. It's 0-385-15903. And we'll press enter to move to the next field. The next field has a Y in it already. That tells the computer whether or not this book is illustrated. We will put an N here for no and press enter. If the book was illustrated, we would put a Y there. That's how Melvil knows whether to put illustrated or not on the catalog cards. And now the number of pages. The number of pages in this book are 430. So we'll enter 430 and we'll put a P after that because that's the way we want it to appear on our catalog card. If the book was unpaged, we might want to put UNP there. You can enter numbers or letters there. The computer will accept anything. And press enter. And notes. This is just a field for you to make any notes that you want in the book. Some librarians choose to enter their oldest session numbers for cross-referencing in this notes field. The computer does not need to know your oldest session numbers, but you might want to enter those or any notes of your choosing here. We won't put anything there. The next field is the call number. You'll have to enter the call number of this book, which is 813.54. You can also enter call numbers such as FIC SAF if you wanted to put this fiction. You can use any call numbering system that you're presently using in your library. The next is the category code that we discussed earlier. This is a hardback book, and we have decided that for our library they will be HB category. So we'll put an HB in this field, and we'll press enter. The next three fields are for reading levels. Some of Melvil's reports used these fields to break down books into junior reading level or senior reading level, or what have you. That's not really applied to this particular book in our library, so we'll skip over those. The next field down, purchased, is used to enter the date that this book was purchased. The computer is automatically filled in today's date, and you can type over this date and put in a different date if you like. If you want to use today's date, you just press enter. Go ahead and press enter. When you do type the date, you do not need to type the slashes between the month, day, and year, but you do need to use 2 digits for each. For example, June would be 06. The next is the cost. This would be the price that was paid for this book. And this is $26.95. So you type 26.95 and press enter. And the next is used for the funds that were used to purchase this book. This was purchased out of general funds, so we'll put GEN in this field. The fund name can be used. The fund name can be any name that you decide to use to group your books together. This is used by Melvil's purchasing report. For example, if you wanted to see all the books that were purchased in a particular range of dates with Chapter 2 funds, it would use this field. So you want to be consistent on the way you enter it. Press enter. And now we have a place for our first 8 subject headings. Melvil will accept 32 subject headings on any particular title. However, only 8 show on this screen at a time. This book has 2 subject headings, Lincoln, Abraham, 1809 to 1865 fiction. As with your title, you can choose to enter your subject headings in upper and lower case or all caps. Again, however you enter them here is how they will appear on your catalog cards and on your reports. After typing the first subject heading, we'll press Enter to go to the next field. The next subject heading is United States-History-Civil War 1861 to 1865 fiction. The punctuation used on subject headings is very important. A small change such as a space or an extra dash or an extra comma will cause Melvil to see two seemingly similar subject headings as being different and will categorize the books accordingly. When you're finished entering subject headings, you're going to press Enter until you get to the last subject heading field and press Enter one more time. At the bottom of the screen, the computer asks, do you want to add this title? Again, we use the arrow key to select either yes or no and press Enter. We'll say yes. The fields go away, and the title is displayed on the screen in blue. You might notice that the selections across the top of the screen are now all bright. In other words, you can select these. The computer has filled in some information that it supplies on its own. For example, the BCR number. BCR stands for barcode reader. This is very similar to an accession number that you would assign books. The BCR number on this book is 4628.01. The first part of the number, the 4628, means this is the 4,628th title entered into the system. The .01 means that this is the first copy of that title. Whenever we add another copy, it will have the same first part, but it will have a .02 for the second copy. The computer has also filled in the status, showing that this book is in the library. Obviously, we've just added it. It hasn't been checked out yet. The number of copies that we have, and the number of copies that are checked out, 0. When you add another copy to the computer of the same title, regardless of when you add it, you do not need to retype all this information. You simply bring this title on the screen and tell it that you have an additional copy of this item. And we'll talk about that in a moment. If we want to make a change to the title that's currently displayed on the screen, we select Edit. We use our arrow key to move over to Edit and press Enter. Then the same fields that were purple when you were typing in your information are now purple, and you can make any changes using your arrow keys to move around. If you do not want to make any changes, press Enter until you get to the last field, and then press Enter one more time to tell the computer that you're finished editing this particular title. Now let's tell the computer that we want to find a title that is already in the system. So we'll select Find. We'll have to move our arrow back one and press Enter. And the computer asks for the title. You'll see at the bottom of the screen it's telling you to enter the title or press Enter to search by the call number. On this screen you can search by the title, by the call number, by the author, or by the BCR or barcode reader number. We'll enter a title. Let's try Miss Nelson Has a Field Day. The computer is not sensitive to capitalization, so regardless of how the title was entered in, you can type it in all caps or upper and lower case. You press Enter after typing in the title, and the computer will bring the information for that title on the screen. If you want to make any changes to this title, just as we did with the previous one, you select Edit and press Enter, and then you can change anything on that particular title. Let's look up the book that we just entered, Freedom. But let's look this one up by the author name. So we'll tell the computer that we want to find. We'll press Enter. When it asks for the title, we're going to press Enter, and then the field moves to call number. We're going to press Enter again. The field moves to barcode number, and we'll press Enter one more time, and the field moves to author. This tells the computer that we want to search by the author. We're going to enter the author's name, which was William Safire. We have to type the last name first. So we've entered our author name, William Safire, and we'll press enter. And the computer will find the first book authored by William Safire, which is Freedom. Now let's say that we have purchased another copy of this book. Instead of typing all this information in again, we tell the computer that we have an additional copy. So we select the copy command at the top, and we press enter. The only thing that the computer needs to know on your additional copy is the date this copy was purchased, the cost of it, and what fund was used to purchase it. We'll use the same date, the same cost, and the same fund. So it would be $622.88, and the cost was, I think, $22.95. Now after you press enter on the fund, the computer will ask, do you want to add this copy at the bottom of the screen? We'll say yes. You'll see that the barcode number has changed to 4628.02, which means this is the second copy of this title. Also, the number of copies has changed to 2. If we go over to the previous selection, PREV, and press enter, it will move us back to the first copy of that item, which brings us into next and previous. Let's say we're looking up a book by author on this screen. Let's use Judy Blume, for example. We'll tell it to find. Press enter. We're going to press enter until we get all the way to the author field, and we'll type Blume, B-L.